to another TWEC's Morning Devotions with Destiny. This morning, I want to focus on a specific individual from the Bible, and her name is Esther. So as young people, there are 3 lessons that we could learn from Esther. The first one is obedience. Esther lost both of her parents from young, so her cousin Mordecai stepped in and raised her up. But one thing about Esther was that she was always obedient. She did what she was supposed to do. She followed God's word, she followed his commandments, and that is why she and her people received favor from God because of her obedience. And as young people, if it is that we truly want to see God's favor in our life, we need to be obedient to his word. A second lesson we could learn from Esther is having great courage. Esther knew what could have happened if she approached the king without being summoned, but that did not stop her. She still approached the king, but she had great courage, and we saw where that took her. And as young people, having courage could be a frightening thing. Why? Because we're scared that this might happen, or we're scared that this person would say this and that person would say that. So we consider everybody else, what they might say, what they might do to us, so we don't stand up for what is right. But I am here to tell us today, have courage and stand up for what you know is right, despite what others might say or do to you. And lastly, the third lesson is God's timing. Esther did absolutely nothing in her own timing. There might have been times when she wanted to do something in her own timing, but she understood who had the real power here. Yes, she was queen, but there was somebody much more powerful than she was, and that was God. So she always did everything in his timing. And that is something we as young people definitely need to learn, because there's a lot of things we might want now and we expect to get it now, but it mightn't always be the timing. Some of the things that we want now might be for us, but now mightn't be the best timing. In the future might be in the best timing, but we fail to realize that because we're moving in our own timing rather than God's timing. And that is why sometimes we find ourselves in certain situations, or we find ourselves, angry, bitter, and these kinds of things, because we didn't get what we want now. And that is something we could learn from Esther. Look at how Esther was in the Bible, how she was blessed, how she was favored, how many people looked up to her. And we could use Esther as an example just by following these 3 things: being obedient, having great courage to stand up for what is right, and moving in God's timing. And I just want to remind us here today, yes, as young people, these 3 things can be difficult at times, but if it is we truly want to see God moving in our life, it is required of us to be obedient to his word, to have great courage to stand up for what is right, no matter what others might say or do, and also doing things in his timing. Once we do these 3 things, God will bless us abundantly, and he will bless us in a way we wouldn't even be studying what others might say or what others might be doing, because we were moving in God's timing. We stood up for what is right. We were obedient to God's word and his commandments. So I hope you all have a blessed and enjoyable day today.